Rolling again here with the Kaufman Corner podcast with you as always. David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Les Norman from Breaking the Norm. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. As we talk some Royals baseball, the winning ways continue. So what is the new ceiling? What is the new floor, right? With all new information, we reserve the right to change our opinions. How much have we changed them? We'll talk about this hot streak that the Kansas City Royals are on and how much that should change the calculus on what they're going to be. How good is Cole Ragans? Is that Royals single-season strikeout record? Dennis Leonard, if you don't know, 244. Is that in jeopardy? Is he going to take that down? What notable players do the Royals need to be ready to trade, or at least considering trading? Names that people normally wouldn't want to trade. We'll talk about that. Is Maikel Garcia one of those names? Is he worth more to the Royals playing third base or to another team as a shortstop, and what they can get in return? It's early, but who would be at the top of the list of some reasonable targets? David Lesky has put pen to paper. Who can the Royals look at adding that can help this club? We will also talk about why the attendance seems to be so low. Why aren't more people coming out to see this ball club? They're playing good baseball. We're not seeing a lot of people in the stands. We'll talk about why coming up next here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it, get with Dave and he'll have you covered. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis, as we are off and running here on a Thursday. Remember, if you catch us via the podcast, thank you very much. You can be a part of the conversation in the chat room. In the conversation, we go live, although next week we're probably going to have to tweak it, so keep an eye on your Twitter. But normally 8:30 a.m. on a Thursday. Gentlemen, thank you. Let's talk about where this team is playing better baseball right now. David, how much do we adjust what we think the ceiling is? We talked about a rough stretch coming on. We expect them to have kind of a slow start, slower than last year. We knew that there was this softer stretch, but they're really making time in this softer stretch. Are we adjusting up what we think the high end is on this club?
For me, not really. I think that, they were kind of where I expected them to be. I didn't expect 9-14 in those first 23 games. I thought maybe 10 and 13 is not that different, but 10 and 13, 11 and 12, something like that. I think that they've made up some of that, a lot of that in going 13 and 2 to start this 16 game stretch. It's almost over today. But to me, they're still, I had them in the high 80s to start the year. I think they're still in the high 80s as far as where I think they finish. But like I've said this so many times, I think that you can go plus 8 to 10 on the high end because things can go right. Things go right that you don't expect. If you think a team is 88 wins, I think they can win 98 games. I don't think they will, but I think it's possible that if everything starts to click, the starting pitching stays healthy. I didn't expect them to stay fully healthy all year. So far, they mostly have. I think that the ceiling's probably about the same. It's just they've gotten there in such an odd way that it feels really good to see they're 14 and 2 in their last 16 games. That's not nothing, and
right.
It shows that they can reel off a long stretch. And the other thing too, this stretch, yes, the Rockies are in it, the White Sox are in it. The Rays had won 5 in a row. The Astros had won 5 of 6. Orioles were struggling, although they had just taken 2 or 3 from the Yankees. So it's not like, and they're talented, So it's not like they're only beating up on bad teams. And they've been impressive. I will say it brought my ceiling back up because I had knocked it down in my head after those first 4 weeks because that was just brutal. And now I feel like they're back to where I thought they'd be at the beginning.
Les, how about you? Are they back at what your original calculation was? That's where it seems like David is, or have they created more ceiling for you? Do you think this team could be better than your original expectation?
I think they can be. This is going to be super repetitive, but I'm not adjusting north at all on a ceiling, only because, again, I know the sample size is smaller, but last year they averaged 4.54 runs a game, and right now they're at 318, and so it's this offense that, and I don't want to keep bagging on my offense. I was not a pitcher. I'm an offensive guy. I was an outfielder, but it's tough. I love the fact that they're winning. I love the fact that they hit 7 home runs in the game in Baltimore, and there are some few games in there. But again, they won last night 2-1. They won the night before 4-3. So the offense is being right now saved by a couple key hitters at the right time and some incredible pitching. And so I'm not willing to adjust because they're 14-2 is great. I mean, look, there are other big league teams on the other side of those games you're playing, no matter how bad Colorado was and is and how bad the White Sox are with balls hitting players in the forehead. And I mean, it's a comedy of errors playing against the White Sox, but they're still big league teams. You still have to produce, but right now the offense is still a little bit shaky. There's still enough guys that consistently are in the lineup that are forcing Matt Cotrero to juggle and put your best out there. I mean, Garcia has went from hitting 4th and 5th to leading off now, and he's still just showing all the hard work. I mean, he is playing outstanding offensively and defensively right now, but it's still not a consistent thing. And it's not consistent because they still have big holes in their offense. And so I can't adjust up north yet. If I had to, I'll push from 86. I think last year they won 86 games. I'll push it to 90 maximum right now, but I'm still hesitant even to do that. So right now I'm kind of on that hold.
They're on pace for 94 wins, right? That's the number that they're on pace for. But there were many times last year they were on pace for 96, 98 wins, right? They didn't end up there. So judging this, earlier they were on pace for 70 wins, right? So when they were struggling. So when you take the pulse, we'll adjust it. You can't just, let's do it after the hot streak, after the easy stretch of games. So I'm not ready to say that this is a club that can win 100 games, right? I'm probably not going to say they can win the 94 that they're on pace for right now, because I think there will be a market correction. But I guess we come back to, where is our faith in the offense? Because I also don't think they're going to be this bad offensively. I think there are signs that it's coming around. I will say this, not having more offense against these teams that are bad, like not being able to at least get to work the count, get out. If you got a decent starter against the White Sox, fine, but get him out after 5 2/3, 6 1/3, get more time against a bullpen that's a soft underbelly, which is the case with most bad teams, and put some runs up on the board. It is not a positive that they're not coming around with the bats against this stretch. That is what I think is the parachute that keeps you from pushing up. It is easy to say they're going to hit better, but for how long and against how many good teams, right? So I really want to push this number up. I think I will, because I do still have faith that Vinny Pasquantino is going to hit better.
He is hitting better.
And he is.
Yeah.
And I think, and for stretches, and is going to continue to hit better, and is going to continue to be, more of a force in the middle of that lineup. He's a lot of my confidence, because I think so much of their offense seems to go with him, and I'm confident in him. Not as confident in Maikel Massey, right? Not as confident that Drew Waters is going to continue to do what he's doing. I love it. I think it's a big part of it. Just keep the line moving, grabbing that third run a couple of days ago with him, just getting a solid single and bringing in a run. Just, that guy that can not be a hole. I think that's a big part of it, but I don't know how long that's going to last, right? We don't have a track record there. So I have confidence. I am pushing it up, but I'm not pushing it up that much. I mean, they're firmly in a wild card spot right now, but it is schedule driven, and I love the pitching. Are we on board that the pitching is exceeding? We had big expectations, but David, can we agree that they've even exceeded those expectations?
I think so. I want to touch on the offense really fast. Okay. I wrote this today in the newsletter. in the last 15 games, which are part of this stretch of the schedule lightening up, they had the 9th best weighted runs created plus in baseball. They're at 116. That's 16% above average. 283, 334, 447. They are hitting. They're not scoring because with runners in scoring position in this stretch, they're hitting 231, 275, 358. Now, you can look at it one of two ways. It's, are they ever going to hit with runners in scoring position? Or does that end up evening out over time? And I think in the course of 162, that does even out. Get on base, the runs will come eventually. Like, they're not going to be the worst team in baseball or the bottom 5 team probably all season long. And so I will say it's I think it's been more frustrating lately because they've gotten runners on and not gotten them in. So that's just the quick point on the offense that I wanted to make. But yes, the pitching, I don't know how you can look at it and not even say they're exceeding what they did. You know, they have 3 starters with an ERA under 3. And I know the metrics show that like Seth Lugo should be a little bit higher probably, but you know, maybe he's shown that he's a guy who can outperform the metrics. Waka, probably not as good as a 2 point. I think he's 2.98 now. Probably not as good as that, but still, he's having a really nice year. Chris Bubich has been incredible. Doesn't even include Cole Ragans, who had a couple rough starts with the groin injury and all that. And then the bullpen has been incredible. I mean, I saw Steven in the chat. Do we have a closer controversy? Estevez has been anxiety inducing. He's given up runs and earned runs, and he's given up a run with the runner on second in extra innings. I don't count that. I think it's not his. I mean, yes, he gave up that run, but that runner was placed on second base. He's given up runs in 3 out of 16 games this year. he's allowed 1 runner or fewer. I think it's in 9 of those 16. Last night was rough. The game against the Rockies was rough. He's been really good outside. And you know, people, Angels fans and Rockies fans and even Phillies fans go, well, there's going to be a game that you're going to go, how is he a big league pitcher? But most of the time you're going to love him. And that's what it's been. And, you know, they're going to get Hunter Harvey back. Steven Cruz has been a revelation in the bullpen. I think he walks too many guys still, but he's been really good and entered that circle of trust. Daniel Lynch has been great. Up and down the roster, I mean, Chris Stratton's a mop-up guy. I know that people want him off the roster. I do too, and he will be eventually. Right. Who, you know, he's not pitching any important innings. Angel Serpa is probably the most maligned pitcher on this staff other than Stratton. And he's not good, but he hasn't been terrible. Like, Angel Serpa 5 years ago would have been the closer, maybe 6 years ago. like that. That's or a main setup man. That's how much better this team is. And now he's the 7th reliever on this team. They're a really good pitching staff.
Yeah, they are. So where would you put a number, Les, for a ceiling? What's the highest win total that they can get to? Because I'm like David said, I always believe you can play like 10 games up from whatever you are. The schedule smiles on you. You stay healthy. Other teams' injuries come along at the right time. You can play up 10 games from whatever you really are, but you can play down 20, 25. Injuries pile up, guys get surgeries and mail in the rest of the year because they're looking ahead to the future. Ceiling and floor. What are you feeling right now for this team?
God, so this is according to Steven's comment about Estevez bringing in anxiety-inducing visions of the game. I understand statistically that if you look at that and you follow the stats, that Estevez has been pretty good. I'm not watching him always from a statistical standpoint, and I am with Steven on this. I watch Estevez, and I watch sometimes the lack of control. I watch the location on which he throws. I mean, these are big league hitters, and we've not played some great teams. And over time, as that schedule kind of balances a little bit, he really makes me nervous as well. I see the numbers. I get that. He's got and this might freak both of you out, but I look up these stats being not a stat guy. And Estevez's barrel percentage is 68%. His whiff percentage is only 9%, and his chase percentage is 9%. And so I think that, I mean, even the foul balls, I watch the foul balls that get hit off of Estevez, and they get hit hard. And so you can look at that 2 ways. One, well, he's getting ahead, and he's just making them waste a strike. Well, if there's a millisecond later and that guy hits a ball in the corner, then he is giving up those runs, whether they've been placed on second base or not. And so I'm not super sold out on him. And if he's in the game, and I do believe that the Royals are not going to average 3.18 runs per game. That's going to tick up. I think it'll be comparable to last year. I hope it gets back to over 4.5. It's going to take some time, but the season is long. And with Vinny hitting, I agree with you, Soren. He's kind of a cornerstone of that offense. And again, hitting, I know it's a cliche, but hitting is contagious. Bad hitting is contagious. Good hitting is contagious. So I think they're going to. But if Estevez is in the game, I think over time he makes me nervous. I think there's going to be some blown saves in there. There's going to be some blown opportunities. And I look at Ursig and I still wonder, why are you not the closer? But then again, I guess if he's the one pitching well, let's get him through the ace. So at least we have a shot in the ninth. So it's not me being skeptical. I'm just watching. And so the point I'm trying to say, Soren, on this is that Estevez is the one that makes me not want to go to 95, 98 games. So right now I'm holding at 90 up top, 80 on the low side. It seems safe and blah, but right now I'm just in that blah. I can't really say after 37 games in. So I'm going 90, I'm going 80. And the key to that for me is Estevez.
All right. A couple of things. One on Estevez. I think we are somewhat still spoiled from the HDH days of the Holland and Wade Davis. That's what a closer is in our mind. Absolutely unhittable and striking everybody out. And this is a little bit more reality of what closers look like. They do give up hits. They are human. He's
getting crushed.
Right. And so, I mean, I think this is a little bit more of a reality check. I'm with you. I think the ninth inning is different. Many conversations with Jeff Montgomery and other guys that have closed. Like this is one where I think the analytics can have a problem in we're going to put Ursig against the best hitters. And then Estevez, he understands the ninth. It's not a bad strategy. It's a sound strategy. And oh, by the way, it's working, right? He can make us nervous, but he's still shaking hands. Again, I'll quote Monty, handshaker is what he said a closer ought to be. Like, that's what you want when it's all said and done. He's largely doing that. So I'm with you, but I am confident that if he does fall off, you do have Lucas Ursig.
Right.
And Hunter Harvey coming back.
Well,
theoretically, just
soreness after playing catch. I mean, if you get the innings from Hunter Harvey this year, I'm going to be thrilled.
Sure.
But yes, you are right. But it does need to be pointed out, David. I just don't know that you can just hang your hat on that.
Right.
Because I don't know how much he's going to pitch, but there are other guys that are pitching well in that bullpen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm with you. Estevez is a little bit different. I think we're also got in our head like $11.5 million for 2 years. Like, really? That's what you had to go to get him? I think there is a little bit of like, if you pay that much, this guy had to be better than Ursig. So we've got this expectation when we need to view him as just another bullpen piece because that's how they view it. They don't view the last 3 outs as important as I think we do. They just view him as 3 of the outs you got to get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked, right? It's worked better than I thought it would. I will give credit to Matt Quatrero and his guys. They've done a fantastic job. So I do think that's important. My hope on the hitting side is maybe it never does come fully around and it's a bumpy ride, but if they can get there, they were tremendous hitting in the clutch last year till it got to the end of the year, till it got to the postseason. So if we can just wave the clutch wand at the end and make it in the postseason, I'll take some bumpy rides along the way. What number would you throw at it, David?
Well, I mean, like I think my floor is you can't count injuries. I mean, you can't expect injuries. So let's
I think less is 80 is not.
Yeah.
Like, they lost Bobby Wood Jr. for 60 games, right?
Right. I mean,
don't
there's
put
a real
that out
floor
there.
No, yes. Don't even say it. Don't mention it.
Just delete. But I think if they do start to fall off, you're going to move Lugo. You might move Bubic. The thing about this team is the players you would move, the players you keep, because you're not probably trading Pasquantino. You're definitely not trading Witt. You still keep a lot of talent. So I think their floor is a lot higher than some teams that could fall off because they're still going to have good players. They're not trading Cole Ragans, right? And so assuming health, I think the floor is probably 77 to 80, somewhere in that range, which God, we would have killed for a floor of 77 to 80 5 6 years ago. But yeah, I still think the ceiling, you're looking, I think they're an 88 win team. So yeah, upper 90s. I'm not going to stray from what I think. Maybe because a quarter of the season has passed almost, you It's not 10 wins, it's 7 wins. So maybe it's 95, 96, somewhere in that range, though. I think they could do that. I'm not going to predict it, but it's possible.
I think I picked them for 88 coming into the year, which would have given them a ceiling of like 98, right?
Yeah.
In that range. I think that's kind of where they are. I might bump it a little higher. There again, these are ceilings. I don't want anyone to take this and run. What's my win total prediction? Probably 88. I'm probably right about where I am. I do feel a little bit better. I don't know that I can quantify it mathematically, but I felt good about the team. Felt good that they weren't going to fall apart. Felt good that they would give us 4+ months of contending baseball. Didn't know that they'd have it all in the end. That's still a big question that's out there. But yeah, I do overall. I'll tick it up just a little bit on what I think they can do. I still think there's upside that's there for this team. Always upside when it comes to your insurance. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance, helping me out. They can help you out with all your insurance needs. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. With David Starnes Allstate, it's not just about fender benders. Beyond traditional safeguards, enjoy perks like roadside assistance for unexpected breakdowns, transportation expense coverage when your car is in the shop, auto replacement protection to keep you on the road in style, and much more. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. I said, all right. It helps if we get everybody back into the picture here. If you're catching us on the podcast, you have no idea. Just consider it a seamless transition there. Let's talk a little bit about how good is Cole Ragans right now, David. Like, the strikeout per 9 is Randy Johnson-esque.
Bonkers.
Yeah. It's more, he's leading the team. I think he's got like 15, 16, 17 less innings, yet he's still leading the team in strikeouts. The game is not about strikeouts. It's about run prevention. And he's had some moments where he's given up some runs, but strikeouts tend to be an indicator of what the ERA is going to be moving forward. Like, how good is Cole Ragans right now?
Yeah, he's 4th in baseball in strikeouts at 35 and 2/3 innings. The guys around him.
I think he was first when he walked off the mound the other day. It's because some other
it was still Mackenzie Gore was still ahead of him, but because Gore's been really good this year. But like Gore's 11 strikeouts ahead at 10 1/3 more innings. Zach Wheeler is 9 strikeouts ahead, 15 more innings. It's pretty crazy how the leaderboard there. He's been really good. And I think that you can. I hate to do you can't say, oh, remove this start because that start happened. But you look at that start against the Rockies, 3 innings, 4 runs. It was ugly. He was clearly injured, and they pulled him for a reason. It's not they tried to go, it didn't work. They pulled him. It not great, but Ragans, I think he's shown this year that he is a true ace stuff. The issue has been pitch count a lot at times because he does drive it up. He did some foul balls. It's all about command with him. You look at that Guardians game, 7 2/3, and he had 11 strikeouts in that game. He only threw 80 something pitches, left with a cramp. We've talked about this, leg issues, but he's pitch for pitch. I would say Cole Ragans is a top, 8 to 10 pitcher in baseball, maybe top 5. And the issue, inning for inning, maybe the issue is you may not get as many innings. Although last year he threw 186, something like that in the regular season. He went 6 innings in the playoffs. I think he left with a cramp actually against the Orioles. So that's part of the story. But he's an incredible pitcher, and there are worse things than he's not Blake Snell, right? He's not Blake Snell with the great stuff that he's going to walk 8 guys one game and go 5 innings every single time. He's going to get you 6, 7 innings a lot of the time, but sometimes you're going to get those games like you did on Monday. But The stuff is there. It's incredible. He's been fun to watch this year when he's healthy.
Yeah. 57 strikeouts does lead the American League. That's what I was like. There's black ink on his page, and
You're right. It's the AL.
But you're right. He
Guys
does
in the
not lead
National League.
baseball. I probably stated it wrong and said he led baseball. He did not lead baseball, but he did and still does. He's tied with Carlos Rodon right now at strikeouts, which is pretty amazing, as you mentioned, with the lesser innings. When you watch his stuff, Les, I like the numbers. I'm not, a true analytics. I'm not, Daniel Mack when it comes to it, but I like the numbers, and his swing and miss in the strike zone is the number that is really amazing for people. It's one thing to get, and it's fine to get swing and misses outside the strike zone. If the stuff's so nasty that it tails out of the zone and guys chase it and swing and miss is a swing and miss.
Mm-hmm.
But the true mark of like brilliance and excellence is like, well, if they take it, it's still a strike. They try to swing at it, they can't hit it. His swing and miss in the strike zone is amazing. I mean, like, how does a guy go from being a fringy, swing man with the Texas Rangers to being maybe the best pitcher in the American League, one of the best pitchers in baseball? How does it happen? Like, what do you see and how good he is?
Yeah, maybe it's the Rangers just got blindness throughout the organization for a season. I don't know. I didn't watch him pitch that much, but I'm just still thankful. I watch his stuff. I love his slider. I mean, his fastball is great. I'm with David. Sometimes his command is a little bit off, but there's one thing again that I watched that's not statistical, is the deception in delivery. And it just takes me back to the days where if I'm confident that I can hit a guy between 87 and 94 velocity wise, that's one thing. But if I can't see it, you might be talking milliseconds where, it's a millisecond between if I recognize a ball here and it's traveling this way, and then I recognize it here. That's all the difference. This could be a double in the gap. This could be a strikeout where I'm not even close and can't even pull the trigger. And so when I watch him pitch, he hides the ball well, and his arm at the very last second, it's not this smooth buildup and crescendo. It's a wait, quick, and delivers it that way. And for me, that gets hitters jumpy. And that's why, and with a really good slider / sweeper, that makes that even harder to hit. And so he must not have had that with Texas. He probably worked on his mechanics a little bit more. And I think that's maybe a leg drive. He was probably rushing forward a little bit. Again, don't know that for sure, but I'm combining deception and stuff together as I always watch the body and swing and what somebody would be looking at as a hitter with a pitcher. And so I feel like that's better. But on the other side of that, it makes me a little bit nervous. Do I think he can have this strikeout record that Dennis Leonard has? Absolutely. I think he can get, if he stays healthy, I think he can get north of 300. Well, I use the word easy for somebody at the level of Cole Ragans, of a really good big league pitcher. Not easy for the three of us to go out and do because we're not really pitchers. But I get concerned on leg cramps or leg stuff because maybe he wasn't using them as well as he should have been in Texas, which is why he's better. If he can stay healthy, he's easy north. If his arm's healthy, his legs are healthy, he's north of 300, no problem. But if this becomes a recurring issue, his strikeouts are going to be up when he pitches, and everybody's going to have a bad game. It's just the longevity of it. He's still young. He's a big guy. So I'm going to stay on the positive side and say, yes, he can do this. He's talented, throws hard, and he's deceptive. As his command, if he brings everything kind of back down into here, then it's going to be another all-star season for this guy, or a first really, really good lead the league all-star season. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you're talking, if he can stay healthy, also Cy Young candidate. So, sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
He made 32 starts last year. If he'd make 32 starts this year at his current pace, he'd have 261 strikeouts, David. So the pace is there, right? The question is, does he stay on the mound, right? He's had this continuous leg discomfort, which is good. We'd all rather it be that than his arms. And in some ways makes us feel good that he's figured out how to put the power into his legs. And as long as they don't let him, I think one of the things that's got to be key, and it seems like it's there, but he's got to communicate when the legs aren't there, because that's when you overcompensate with the shoulder, with the elbow, with the arm, where you start putting too much emphasis on it. Right now it's the legs. Okay, he's getting a lot of power out of his legs. That's good. That was Nolan Ryan's, key to success over all those years. But it is the fact that they can't it seems like they can't solve this is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of it too. It's not. There are missed starts also that the Royals say, "Hey, we're gonna bump you 2 days because we can bring up Noah Cameron. We saw him do it. Eventually, maybe it's Luinder Avila. Maybe maybe you give Daniel Lynch a spot start. I don't know. The Royals could manage this as well, which would limit the starts without him missing time for injury as much as, hey, we gave you 2 extra days, and you do that 4 times, and all of a sudden you've missed 2 starts. I looked last year, 177 strikeouts his last 25 starts. If he goes to 32, puts him at 237. So I believe that's third because it's Leonard at 244, Greinke at 242, and then I think it falls off to like 220. But yeah, he can do it. Just the question is, like you say, is he going to throw 180 innings again this year? He's got to throw 144 and a third more, over 24, 25 starts probably. It's about 6 innings. I don't know. I think it's doable. I think I'll say this, if he gets to 180 innings, I think he breaks the record. If he gets to 170, I think there's a chance he breaks it. If he doesn't get to 170, he's not breaking it. No. But the fact that you can get 245 strikeouts in 170 innings says a lot about your pitching ability. And 170 innings today is almost the 200 of even 10 years ago.
Yeah. And listen, then you have a guy like the other thing that's nice is he doesn't have to feel a need to go more innings than he's comfortable doing, because Seth Lugo is again piling up the innings. Maikel Wacha is going to put up innings. Kris Bubic is putting up innings. There's not this feeling like it doesn't roll around to him every 5th day. Like, we haven't had a starter go 4 innings since your last start. You have to go 8. He can go out there and bust it for 6 innings and feel okay because everybody else is doing their part. So yeah. I think that makes it easier as well. Listen, Jeff Passan wrote a great article I'm going to talk to him about later, predicting, and this is from people he's talked to in Major League Baseball executives, the players that are in line for $100 million contracts. And it got me to thinking, because he's got on that list Cole Ragans. So we know Bobby Witt Jr.'s already got it, right? 100 million plus. He has a subsections after that of 200, 300, 400, 500 million. But he mentioned Kris Bubic. And he put Cole Ragans down as a $100 million contract guy when his contract comes up, which is still a few years away, by the way. But then possibilities were Vinny Pasquantino and Kris Bubic. This is talking to other baseball executives. Now, I bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, so people understand what the cost is of just keeping this team together, right? Like, as they mature into their get paid years, it's going to get expensive. And we know there's a limit to how much the Royals can spend. I can tell you that I would throw in, Maikel Garcia, the way he's hitting right now, as a guy that's going to be expensive. He's 25 years old. So we're talking about a guy that's going to get to free agency at the younger age. And so, if teams still view him as a shortstop, I think he's going to be an expensive guy. And then at some point, look, you got to replace Seth Lugo after this year if he opts out of his deal, or you got to pay him more, right? If he stays, he's going to get more. So there are some decisions that are going to be made. And, Kris Bubic is like real quiet, like getting closer to free agency than people realize. There's been a lot of IL time, and, I think he's what, I think after 2 years.
He's got 20 after 26.
After 26, he'll be a free agent. So could we see the Royals moving a Vinny? You have Jack Caglione coming. Should they be considering? Should they be listening to Vinny Pasquantino? They've got Bobby Witt Jr. playing shortstop. Is Maikel Garcia worth more than, as a trade piece to a team that goes, that's an everyday shortstop. He's OPSing plus 800. His defense is shortstop. We're going to get him. Play him at shortstop. We're going to pay more than what his offense is worth at third base because we see him as a shortstop. Do Royals fans need to be prepared for one of these big names to be dealt? Is that what's coming next, Les? I mean, are you prepared to see one of those names move on?
Man, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would have told you to shut up about 10 times during that last stretch of conversation you had. But the cranky old man is gone. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning from you. Look, I feel like a guy like Vinny with Jack Caglione behind him. Yes, he can play outfield, and that's great. But if Vinny starts hitting with Jack behind him, I think Vinny is absolutely a trade piece. And it was great when I knew that you were going to talk about this. It is a fantastic question. Is he worth more at third base to the Royals than he is a shortstop to another team? I think the Royals could get an absolute haul for Maikel Garcia as a shortstop, what they could get for him. And again, I'll let we struggle in the corner outfield. We could use even some more great bullpen pieces. And even though they are that good, an everyday second baseman in the long run, India's not that answer. Massey's not that answer, I don't think. And so you could get a good second baseman. You could get and prospects. And I think the key is not just that he's playing so well, but Maikel Garcia is 25. That's a baby in big league terms, and a guy that can absolutely pick it and play a great shortstop for some team. That is almost irreplaceable. And so I think that those two guys and even some of the prospects in the Royal system, but mainly Vinny and Maikel Garcia, would be huge trade pieces. Do I want to see them go? Absolutely not. I love having them on this team. I love watching. I stop what I'm doing because I literally watch every game. I can do it on my phone, at home, wherever. And when they're up, when Bobby's up, when Maikel's up, when Salvy's up, when Vinny's up, no matter what they're hitting, I am watching them because they're exciting. But what they could bring, if we're talking about the business side, could be a huge upside. And so I'm all about moving those two. Maybe not right now, but the potential they could bring, huge.
Yeah. David, I mean, this is the reality, right, of the small market
Yeah.
club. I mean, if you're talking about a $100 million deal for Bubic, a $100 million deal for Vinny Pasquantino, a big deal for Maikel Garcia, while you're paying Bobby Witt Jr., I don't know that the payroll can hold it all. And I don't know, I will say this as well. I'm adamant, and I think this is one of the fatal flaws of Dayton Moore ultimately in his regime, was this idea that you could draft and internationally sign your way to a complete baseball team. I don't think you can. I think you have to be acquiring more talent via the trade. Is reality that one of these guys aren't going to be here 26 or 27? Is that something Royals fans need to be?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, look, there are a few factors at play here. It's not just, okay, where's their value? Because look at Maikel Garcia, for example. You got to have a team that needs a shortstop, right? And the teams that are bad at shortstop this year are the Brewers, not contending. The White Sox, one of their top prospects, plays shortstop. The Brewers are contending. The White Sox are not contending, but they're one of their top prospects, plays shortstop. The Rockies, who have signed their shortstop long-term. The Pirates, who I don't know what they're doing. The Braves, they are interesting. Let's put a pin in them. The Red Sox, who have Trevor Story. The Rays, interesting. The Orioles, they have Gunnar Henderson. Not that they couldn't move him to third necessarily, but I don't think that's going to happen. There are actually a lot of really good shortstops in baseball, which I think decreases the value of Maikel Garcia as a shortstop in a trade because there's not as many teams that have that need. And the other side of that with Garcia, not to say that they shouldn't explore this, but the other side of that is he's hitting so well, and they don't have a third baseman coming up. It's not like they are okay. Well, they don't have Jack Caglione at third base, so
not yet.
Not yet, and maybe they do next year. But I don't know that Maikel Garcia. I don't know that there's as big of a market as that seems like there should be for Maikel Garcia as a shortstop. I think there are teams that would love him, obviously, especially the way he's hitting this season. But I think that good teams typically have good shortstops already. And part of what makes them a good team is they have a good shortstop. And you can look and say, okay, the Marlins, great. Who do you want from the Marlins? They develop pitching. The Royals now have pitching. They don't need that in the same way. And so I think if the trade was there, obviously, I don't think clearly not midseason. It's an off-season deal. And maybe it's not even this off-season. Maybe it's 2 off-seasons from now. But I think that there is something there about, okay, good teams already have shortstops. Now, Vinny Pasquantino, he is kind of the heart of the team offensively. We've talked about it. They go, he goes, they go. And I don't think you can move that midseason if you're contending, because I think that really disrupts the clubhouse in a way that I don't know that you want to do while they're winning.
That's a great point.
But I think Pasquantino I think he's an off-season trade candidate 100%. It's a tough trade though. Look, you trade good players. It's difficult, but you're right. There's a financial ceiling, whether we want to believe it or not, whether there should be or not. It's they can't they won't support theoretically a $200 million payroll, which they don't have to have, but I mean, they haven't developed the pitching yet. They're getting by with major league development. Like they've gotten more out of Seth Lugo. They've gotten more out of Maikel Wacha. They've gotten more out of Cole Ragans. Noah Cameron came up and pitched well. We haven't seen that they've been able to get the inexpensive pitching yet. They're paying for pitching. Seth Lugo is making $15 million. Maikel Wacha is making $17 million. Michael Lorenzen, what is he? Is he 7? I think 7.5, somewhere in there. Chris Bubich is going to make money next year.
Mm-hmm.
They are paying for pitching, and they're doing great with what they're paying for. Esteves, $11.5 million. I mean, so I think that you get to a point that there is a cap basically that they've set, and I don't know what it is. And should it be higher? Probably. I'm not John Sherman though. I would love to spend his money. I can't. So they're going to have to make one of these moves.
I think on the Maikel Garcia, let's blend that one in with this. You mentioned all these teams that have good shortstops. Do you know how many shortstops have an 800 OPS in baseball? How many players who play 50% of their games at shortstop have an OPS of 800 or better?
It's like 4, isn't it?
I was going to say 3.
When I did it 2 ways. I did it from just ESPN's batting stats, and it does come out to 4. It's Francisco Lindor, Geraldo Perdomo, who's probably going to be replaced, by the way, if Lawler comes up and does what he's supposed to do. Jacob Wilson and Bobby Witt Jr. According to StatHead, you can throw in Zach Neto, Bobby Witt Jr., Thomas Segis for the Cardinals. Right?
He got sent down, though.
Sent down. But I'm just giving you just everybody. Jacob Wilson, CJ Abrams, Perdomo, Francisco Lindor, and Jose Barrero, who has 14 plate appearances. Right? So, like, the question is what is Maikel Garcia? Right? Like, I think in a little bit, we're viewing him as what he's been. Is he what he is now? Right? Like, we've asked this question a couple of times are we all in on him? Are we buying that this is it? This is not last year anymore. Last year's hot start was about 2 weeks. We're well past where he started to fall off and become what he had been. You know, after a year of this, to David's point about an off-season deal, after a year of this, is baseball going to view him as an 850 OPS guy that can play good defense at short? Because if they are, that's an impressive-looking guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely think so. I mean, you know, the thing on the hitting side, and I'm the hitting nerd, but I won't go too deep into it. But last year, he stuck around here to really work on some things because he saw some failure last year, and that created humility up that work ethic. He really absorbed what they were trying to teach him, and he got confident. He got smart. He doesn't chase as much pitches that are bad. Last night I think in the one, not the first one, maybe it was the first one, but he had a pitch 3 inches off the plate, but stayed right on top of it and hit the ball hard to right field. And so you see the confidence in him. It's just, he's a different hitter. And there's a difference between how a guy looks with his body language and his facial expression when he's on a hot streak versus, okay, this guy gets it. Now, I'm not saying he's going to hit 300 every year and be a 10-time All-Star. What I am saying is he could be your 800 guy that you're talking about all the time. I feel like he's developed into that. And when you do that at 25, I think that's what other teams see as projection, not just statistically, but what they're really seeing visually, what this advanced scouting is seeing visually and how he handles himself at the plate. On the defensive side, I feel like his footwork, the way he throws, I watch him throw over to third base. For me, if I'm playing third base, I would want to crow hop, and I would feel like I would be aiming it if I'm catching one deep down the line, and he just catches it, he backhands it, he comes up, he sets his feet, sets his shoulders, and just those strikes across the infield like it's nothing. And so he has such an upside in so many areas that I feel like he's being viewed as other teams, that they're seeing what I'm seeing, and they're smarter than I am in their front office. But if they're seeing what I'm seeing, they're seeing a guy that's going to be elite, both defensively and offensively. And so that's why I'm saying I agree with the whole Vinny thing, that's an off-season trade, because you can jack up a clubhouse. Culture can stay the same, but that feeling of the clubhouse can change even within a good culture when you lose your heart and soul. But I think even mid-season, Maikel Garcia, or late season, if the Royals slide, could be a guy that could bring you a long haul.
Yeah. And I think as we talk about the trade, I think as we talk about the trade market, like, the really good small market teams that really embrace the numbers, they buy and sell.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people might need to be like, well, why'd you do this deal? That doesn't help you. Well, the Maikel Garcia deal was more for the future, but we made these two deals over here that are for the now because we think overall the combination of everything we did makes the organization better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the Milwaukee Brewers have made some deals that their fans didn't like because they thought it was the right thing to do for the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that if you always make the big picture deal, right, it may hurt you a little bit now, but if you do it and you do it again and again and again and again, overall, that's going to raise the performance of the team on the field. But you got to embrace it. And you got to be willing. And with a stadium that they're still seemingly don't know where they're going to put or what it's going to look like or how it's going to build, and they're going to want public money, they're still a little bit in the PR business. And that's one of the things why I'd love to see that get figured out so that JJ Piccolo, who seems to be fully embracing the math, Matt Petro, who's embracing the math, could embrace the math when it comes to, I don't want to say team building because the team is largely built, but team maintenance, team improvement, and make those decisions. Not be like, whoa, we can't trade Vinny. Like, we can't trade Maikel. Like, the fans are going to lose their minds. We're trying to get some things done here. Like, I don't want that to stay in the way of what has been, I think, an excellent plan that follows the math and has put together a contending club. I don't want to see that go away. So I think it's important for fans.
Sorry, you also
that's coming.
Yeah, no, you're right. You also have to the Rays traded Willy Adames in 2021 to the Brewers. Interestingly enough, you have to build. The Royals haven't built equity yet with the fans. There's not. Yeah. Oh, they know what they're doing. They know that. Look,
clearly,
I don't like this
we'll
trade.
talk about the attendance in a minute. Clearly, they haven't built the equity.
Right, and I think that's not that you have to do that first. Not that you can still make sound baseball decisions if the fans don't like it, but if this would be a much different conversation had they won for the last 3 years and not last year, because suddenly you start to see the idea of, oh, they know what they're doing. Look, I don't really see this right now, but I at least trust that they know what they're doing. Like that situation, they don't have that yet because they won once, and once can be a fluke. I don't think it was. They're 22-16 now, but they haven't built that yet to be able to make this move without criticism, and that shouldn't stop them. If they think it's the best move, that should not stop them from making the move. But it gets easier when you win more because the fans stop criticizing you as much.
Yeah, a ballpark's a big piece of the future of the organization, though. It's a little more than just like, could we had to take a couple of calls from the season ticket holders, right? Like it's
True.
A big piece of the picture. I don't know. And listen, I would like to believe that what the team is doing on the field has nothing to do with what kind of ballpark they're going to build, how the financing is going to work. But people get edgy. People like to be comfortable. And we'll see if they are. You'll be comfortable working with David Starnes Allstate Insurance. David Starnes Allstate Insurance. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff, as well as your motorcycle, boat, ATV, and you name it. Get with Dave, and he'll get you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, let's talk about who the trade target should be. David, you've been putting pen to paper on some guys. Give us your maybe top 5 players that realistically could be available that realistically would help the Royals.
So last year I started doing this every month. It was fun. I put together a list of way too many players. Started already because I realized I can't do it the night before or else I'll be dead the next day. So top 5, they're all outfielders. Shocking, I know.
Yes.
Cedric Mullins, #1 to me. The Orioles, if they fall out of it, he's a free agent after the season. He has mentioned before, I can't find it, so maybe I'm making it up, but I'm pretty sure he's mentioned before that he loves Kansas City. I think he's at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum every time the Orioles come to town. I've seen him there. I think he goes multiple times sometimes. Like, I think that's a big draw for him. He's having a really good year. The average is low, but he's walking. He's hitting for power. He's playing not great defense in center, but I think he'd be a corner in Kansas City because Kyle Isbell is good enough defensively. That makes a really good defensive outfield. Brian Reynolds in Pittsburgh. He's having a down year, but the Pirates really hate spending money, and he's owed money. So there you go. They've hesitated to trade him in the past, so I'm not sure how available he'll be. And they need offense desperately to go with that pitching staff, but they don't really seem to get it. So he's a guy I'd love. Switch hitter, can play corner outfield, perfect. Lars Nootbaar from St. Louis and Brendan Donovan from St. Louis, both of those guys. The Cardinals, I think they're back to 500, so they're not a guaranteed sell yet. But if they do sell, those guys are free agents after 2027. I don't think they trade both, but they might trade one. Either one of those guys, they get on base. They play pretty solid defense. Brendan Donovan can play second base too. You got a Maikel Massey issue. There's a lot of layers there with that. And then Taylor Ward, we've talked about him for over a year now with the Angels. He started off really poorly, but the track record is there with him. I had heard in the offseason the Angels were asking for way more than Taylor Ward is worth. Eventually, though, that price comes down. He's a free agent after next year. He plays a solid left field. He'd be a really nice fit. I thought fifth, now sixth behind Maikel Garcia. It keeps them a little righty heavy, and that's okay. But he'd be a nice fit at the middle to bottom of the lineup. And then the sixth guy, I think you have to trade for Ty France just so you don't have to face him. Just trade for him, put him on the roster, pinch hit him against. Do what you got to do, but just they have. What do they play? 3 against the Twins already? So they have 10 more games against the Twins. You can't face him 10 more times. He's going to win the MVP from those 10 games. You got to trade for him.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but the reality is there'll be plenty of guys available.
Yes.
Right? And we know,
like I said, I'm building that list. I've got like 40 names on it already.
Right. We just took a top 5. So there's plenty more names where that came from. And we saw the team go out and make additions, but they were all pretty much bargain bin additions. Right. The question is,
other than Urseg. Yeah.
But
cost wise.
As far as like what the bottom line was, because Urseg still isn't expensive. I mean, he was expensive as far as the prospects you had to give to get him. But as far as the bottom line, the question is, Les, is this organization ready to take on money? If what they have to do is take on salary, or is it always going to be shopping from the bargain bin?
It shouldn't be. I think John Sherman has shown at least a little bit that he's willing to spend some money. But again, if we're really going to compete, I mean, let me ask you both this. And knowing your brains, you'll probably come up with somebody pretty quickly. But besides Tom Goodwin, I know, let that name settle in your brain for a second.
Yes.
Besides Tom Goodwin, when's the last time somebody looked at a Kansas City Royals roster and saw a pure leadoff hitter, a guy that is actually a leadoff hitter that wasn't just thrown in or kind of a meh leadoff hitter, but purely a leadoff hitter? Can you remember one?
No, I mean, Johnny Damon, Johnny Damon had a 340 something on base, could lead the league in stolen bases.
But now you're talking when I was playing, and I'm 130 years old. So, I mean, that's
did they not win a World Series without CDs Escobar leading off, Les? Come on.
Yeah.
I hear you. I get
that.
With
him, not because of him.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Both good points, point and counterpoint.
Not because of his leadoff skills.
No. Yes.
Although he was hot against the Mets, as we know.
Yeah. So my point there is Cedric Mullins has been at the top of my list for a long time, because in him you get power, you get speed. He's a great bat. He understands the game. He takes pitches. I mean, he's a pure leadoff hitter, and I get frustrated every season because I ask myself out loud, to the point my wife is going to make me sleep on the couch, kind of out loud, please get a leadoff hitter. So I feel like we just keep overlooking, and that's more. We need more than just a leadoff hitter. Okay. I would love to have Cedric Mullins and Brendan Donovan. I mean, they're not going to spend that money. It would be great. One or the other would be fantastic. But for me, Cedric Mullins would plug a hole in the outfield and in your leadoff position. He would give you two things at one time. And if he likes Kansas City, let's build a second museum for him to come and look at the time. I don't care. but we need to stop this idea of we're only going to pay for these particular areas. And we're just we're just going to bargain shop and just keep patchworking every single year. I think we got to get out of that mindset again. I'd love to spend John Sherman's money. He's the one that's going to, sorry for the camera there. He's going to spend his own thing. He's going to do his own thing with his own billions of dollars. But I would love to see them get rid of that idea and get that pure leadoff hitter in here who's also a good outfielder and can set the table for guys to be good hitters. I think Vinny would be a better hitter if he had more people around him. You know, it's not the only reason he's been struggling, but guys get better with other good guys around him. So I'd like to see a little more of the spending to be intentional in that way. And Cedric Mullins, for me, would be a guy that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Do they have money left, though? They might, right? Like they offered Santander, what, 60-ish million over 3 years.
Yeah.
And then they
That's not a bad contract.
Right. And gave Estevez $22 million over 2 years. So theoretically, and that's not to say it doesn't always line up like this, but theoretically they should have $9 million more to spend, right? I mean, that's how it.
Clearly, Santander was somebody that there probably was a conversation with ownership. This is a difference maker, right? So, like, just to go,
but if you spend it on a difference maker,
but your point is valid. Yes, if you're bringing on a player that you can easily tell the owner, look, this guy makes a difference. Yes, I think you're right. I mean, I do think there's more money there, and I think that's a reason to maybe go back to our original question. Maybe our win total should be bumped higher because we think ownership is going to be committed to putting more into the ball club.
Let me say this real quick, Soren. Sorry to interrupt, but at what point are we going to keep hiding behind the fact of the mid-market, small market team? I get the spending,
forever,
I get the city,
forever. Because I don't know that, but are they hiding or is it just reality?
No, I understand that. What I'm saying, I guess I'm broad stroking that statement, saying it as a whole, because look, winning is winning. And in order to compete, if you really want to, and look, 2014 and 15 were a great stretch run and they waited 30 years and there's other really not going to win it every year. It's not every lifetime that you're going to get. When San Francisco won a World Series offseason, won a World Series, then an offseason, and won a World Series, it doesn't always work out that way. But again, we get tantalized and teased with all these good players and teases like a Bobby Witt Jr., like this pitching staff right now. But do we want to take that next step and get that extra outfielder or get that extra player? And it comes down to that money. Again, it's not my money. I understand. But I feel like a little.
I think the part that people forget is everybody loves it when we spend more money, we win a championship. But that's not the calculus.
Right.
That's how the fans see it. If we spend more money, we're better, and we win the championship. But it's when you don't win the championship and you spent more money, and then you turn around to your ownership group and you tell them, all right, everybody, I need a 10% check off what your ownership is, or we dilute your shares. That starts to piss people off. Right. I've heard different people talk about that none of them lose money because there's all these different things that it allows you to do. Mm-hmm. But there are times where they're like, we're short and I need a check. And if you own $10 million and they come to you and say, I need $500,000 is a big check for anybody. I don't care who you are.
Right.
And so, yes, if it was, I'll give you more money and we win a championship, I think every even minority owner would be happy to write those checks in the offseason. Presumably they have enough money. They're in at an amount that they can afford to supplement along the way. But there are cash calls that come around. And you do that a bunch of times and you piss your ownership group off and then they're mad at you and they're bitching at you. And, there's more to it than we as fans just spend and win. First of all, you don't always win. In fact, you're likely to not win because it's baseball and it's kind of a crapshoot in the playoffs.
Right.
And then we just go, pisser. See you in Arizona next spring. We're done. And they get together and have a meeting and somebody's like, John, how many times are you going to bleed me? I don't want to hear about the championship thing because we haven't won a championship. So let's talk about the bottom line thing. And those are tough meetings to have.
Sure.
When you're constantly going. So I agree with you 100%. And I think David's right. I think there is a cushion there, right? We saw it. There's a willingness to spend to make this club better. And I think especially if you're doing that deal, you're in the race. This isn't like we feel good, we're hoping to stay healthy. You're a long way down the road and still very much in it if you're going to take that on. And I do think John Sherman at some point needs a championship, right? Every owner, they want it. I think everybody in that ownership group, the smallest, Patrick Mahomes, whoever's the smallest owner, they want to say that they are a championship owner.
Right.
So
Right.
they will be driven by passion more than just bottom line. But there's a bottom line that we as fans don't ever have to deal with. And it's real. It's not just like, oh, billionaire John Sherman writes check. It's a lot of other people that have to write checks that are quite wealthy, and we'd all probably like to change places with them. But it makes for a pissy meeting.
Sure. Yeah.
I've heard some of the stories,
That's a great point. I mean, there is so much that we don't see. So, I mean, your point is very valuable and valid. I completely get it. And that's not a normal part of any conversation, because everybody does say, spend more money, spend more money. So you're absolutely right. I understand that. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Let's close with this. When is the attendance going to go up? I mean, it's still a collection of the Royals' favorite empty seats. They're out at the ballpark now. It does tick up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Go ahead.
They are up. I believe it's like 400 a game this year from this time last year. So I had it pulled up and then I lost it. Let me find it again.
I was comparing 24 to 25, and it's looking just like okay, on Friday,
it's 395 a game. They're up 395 people a game from last year. So
I mean, that to me, usually you go up the year after winning and really winning, like going to the playoff, going to the World Series. But they went to the playoffs, and there's a lot of reason to believe this team was going to be good. This says to me they did not. Now, maybe the answer is they doubled the price of tickets. I don't know.
I don't think they did, but yeah.
I don't think they did. I'm sure they raised them, but, is there a disconnect here between fan base and team?
Well, look, it's hard. It's easier to watch them, but it's still not easy to watch them every night. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, when people say, I wish I could watch them, you can. Like there is nothing stopping you.
I wish I could watch them for free is what people are really saying.
Right. Which is fine. I get it, but it's not the reality of this situation. I think there are a lot of factors. One, the slow start. They come home. If they had come home from that road trip and they went 5-5, that puts them at what, 12-11, facing a bad team. I think that people are more excited. They came home 9-14. That, I don't know. It's not thousands, but it's hundreds more people probably. That's a big part of it. I think the opponents have been a part of it, which you want to have people come to see your team, but that's also not the reality. They haven't faced a big market team yet. It's been Cleveland, Baltimore, Minnesota, who don't come to Kansas City anymore because they've got the outdoor stadium. Colorado, Houston, and the White Sox.
Yeah.
This weekend will probably take up because it's the Red Sox. There'll be too many Red Sox fans there.
But the Boston's, I mean, they're a historic name, but they're not baseball's best team. They're a 500 club.
It's also going to be 80 and sunny every day this weekend.
That's part of it too. And I was going to get to that because
do they touch 30,000 this weekend on Saturday? I think Saturday's usually the biggest draw.
They have a giveaway, don't they? Is that a Moose giveaway? I think.
That's
anyway,
not what drives me, so I don't really pay attention to those.
Me either. Same. I show up and I get one. I'm going, oh, cool, thanks. But I do think weather has played some factor. It's been cold. Not again. We're not talking about they're averaging 16,000. If these things didn't happen, they'd be averaging 28. No, they might be averaging 17.5. Better start, better opponents, all that. But I don't know. I feel like
as we tape, they've got a day game with the White Sox today, then 3 at home to close out the homestand with Boston. We expect an uptick. You mentioned St. Louis is always a draw, if for nothing else, Cardinal fans here in Kansas City will come. They come home after going to Houston. They play St. Louis, then 2 San Francisco, 2 Minnesota. They come home for Cincinnati and Detroit. Detroit is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If this team is still playing well, 30,000. That weekend minimum.
I was going to say 80,000 total would be great.
Okay, I mean because
I think,
or there is a problem, right? Or if you're in the business side of the Kansas City Royals, you have to look yourself in the mirror and go, "We got a problem.
What are we doing? What is wrong here?" And it'll be funny because you're going to see the fountain pass is now $29. I actually don't know what it is right now, but you're going to see a cut in something, and it's not your seat in section 316 isn't going to be any different, but They are going to offer deals. They're going to try to get people out there. It'll go up in the summer, right? I mean, they were, like I said, they were averaging roughly this last year through this point, and then average 20 for the year. So if they keep winning, it'll rise. And school is a factor. It is a factor. People poo-poo it, but it's a factor. All this stuff is, again, it doesn't mean they're going to go from 16 to 30. It's, they should be getting 22, 23 a night, and then 35 on bigger nights. That's where they should be, and they're just not there yet.
Yeah. And it needs to be coming, and hopefully it will be.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Les. You were going to say.
Yeah, I feel like offense drives a lot of it. And look, I understand that fans are fickle, and now that I'm a fan, I can be fickle at sometimes too. But fans are also smart on the other side of that. And David, you mentioned the Rockies were in town and the White Sox were in town. Nobody is going to come out to see them. I mean, coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend when the Cardinals come into town, you'll see just as many, if not more, red jerseys in the stands than you will blue jerseys. I mean, a lot of those seats are already bought up and done by Cardinal fans. And that's just the way it is. So I think just on this side, but I know there are business things that I don't understand that they need to figure out. I'm not a marketing genius or anything. But again, weather, agree. Summer will come in. Weather's going to be really nice for the next 8 days. It's going to be between 76 and 85. That's going to be a big deal. Red Sox coming in. That's going to be a big deal. But for me, I think at this point, they would have had a lot more if there wasn't that really bad stretch of 5 guys in the lineup with next to the point in their batting average. That puts the true fans in the seats. If you have, even if they're hitting 240, if you're competing a little bit better. And again, it happened at the beginning of the season. That's probably part of it. If this stretch happened at the beginning of the season, attendance would be up. But I think it's offensive and win-loss driven during that first part of the season, and it just wasn't there.
Great points. Big test this weekend against Boston. It'll be interesting to see how much red is there against the Cardinals, May 16th through the 18th. I think the Tigers is big, May 30th through June 1st. Then they turn around and they go to St. Louis. How much blue is in St. Louis from June 3rd to the 5th?
Not as much as the red will be here.
Yeah, we hope not. We hope that's changing. I don't know. Cardinals, they had 22,000 there. Great fan, the best fans.
Announced 22.
Right. Yeah. And they may be the best fans of baseball, but guess what? When they don't have hope, they ain't packing the house either.
Right.
So they're finally, their 20-year stretch of being a contender every year looks like it's over, and it ain't a packed house in St. Louis every week. So from that standpoint, let's go, Casey. You got a chance to flex your muscles and show, when we're giving a winner, we support it as well. You can support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors, David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Give Dave and his crew a call. I did. They've been absolutely fantastic to work with. 816-781-7331. And, of course, our friends at Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google. 5-star rated personal injury lawyers serving Kansas City for more than 40 years. If you've been hurt in an accident, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT. Text HURT, H-U-R-T, to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. For David Lesky from Inside the Crown, for our man Les Norman from Breaking the Norm, I'm Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.